It seems like every time I turn on a sporting event, Lisa Byington is making history. First woman to do play-by-play of a Big Ten football game on the Big Ten Network. First woman to do men's NCAA tournament game play-by-play. And now she's got another big assignment, Olympic play-by-play. Lisa's from Portage, joins us from Chicago. Lisa, I'm starting to think this career choice she made is working out pretty well for you.
I would say so. You know, when I was younger, I thought I was going to be either like a lawyer or a basketball coach, and here I am as a broadcaster. But it's been going pretty well as of late.
All right. So which of these assignments like blew your mind most when you got the call and were told we'd like you to do this?
For me, and this might surprise people just because everyone knows about the Olympics and everyone has watched some part of the Olympics, right? Whether it's the Summer Olympics or the Winter Olympics. But I have always said that for me, my Super Bowl has been the NCAA tournament. And I'm such a basketball person. And so I grew up watching the NCAA tournament because, frankly, when I was in elementary school and middle school, there wasn't a whole lot of women's basketball on TV. So I had to gravitate towards the men's NCAA basketball tournament. And because I'm sappy and cheesy, One Shining Moment is my favorite song. So to hear a couple of my calls from the NCAA tournament on One Shining Moment was spectacular. And it literally was a dream come true. Now, having said that, we have had a couple of Olympic seminars, and to start those off and to get all the announcers excited and ready for it, they do a highlight package of some of the great calls and the great moments of the Olympics of years past. And I did get chills because you're thinking, this is the Olympics, you know? And so if I could pick one A and one B, I guess those two would be it.
I'm not going to lie, I've shed a tear or two during One Shining Moment, especially the Mateen Cleaves, Tom Izzo standing next to each other, looking up and watching that video. That was pretty amazing. How were you able to land this? It's not like they put an ad in the paper saying we need an Olympic soccer play-by-play announcer.
And everyone hearing your question, there's some people who are saying, you know, what's a paper? What's a newspaper? Good question. I think it's perseverance. I think it's networking. I think it's word of mouth, you know, but I think it comes down to patience and perseverance. You know, I have pursued working the Olympics in years past and haven't gotten the assignment. So I don't want people out there to think that everything I ask for or pursue that you get. And I think that's an important storyline to my story, if you will, Jack. It's, you know, it's not overnight success doesn't exist. With the NCAA tournament, you know, the first time I made the ask to work the tournament to when I actually got the first assignment as a sideline reporter, it was a span of 10 years. So I don't want people to think, you know, I roll out of bed and think, oh man, I think I'm going to work the Olympics tomorrow. So let me ask. It doesn't happen that way. It happens with hard work. You have to do the grunt job to build your way up to the glory job. And then you have to have a little bit of luck.
Yeah, overnight success, 10, 20 years in the making. How many, I know you've called a lot of different events, but how many soccer games have you called in your career?
Well, I can't answer that. A lot of college soccer. I've done some NWSL soccer as well. The 2019 World Cup was obviously the biggest stage. And so I feel like that has prepared me the most for this event, for doing the Olympics. You know, I did an MLS game. It was I believe what they considered at the time, it was the first major professional league event that was an all-female broadcast at the time. And so, Jack, if you follow my career, you know I kind of dabble in a lot of different sports, that I don't just focus on basketball or soccer or softball or volleyball or football. I'm kind of here, and here. And so I would say this, though, that the 2019 World Cup was pretty special. And the fact that there was the time difference from France, and I actually called it off a screen in Los Angeles. So that will prepare me for this opportunity, because we will be, at least our group, there's a big group of soccer announcers who actually will be in Connecticut and not in Tokyo. And I'll say this, I remember waking up at 3 a.m. Los Angeles time and calling a match at 5 a.m. Los Angeles time because of the time difference in France. And we called it in a trailer, so to speak. I walk out of the trailer and the sun's rising in Los Angeles, and I'm thinking, you know, people are going to breakfast, and I'm thinking, do people even watch, you know? And so it's a little bit surreal, but it'll be somewhat similar. You know, there'll be 2 a.m., 3 a.m. calls over in Tokyo, and you have to be ready for it.
Is the preparation for this kind of an assignment similar or more challenging than a football or a basketball game?
In a lot of ways, it's a little bit more challenging because I think with American football, you know exactly where your sources are to get research. In this area, in this aspect of things, you can get research in so many different ways. I got familiar with Google Translate, had never used Google Translate for the 2019 World Cup, and I think it's the greatest invention ever. You know, you can read an article that's written in a different language and translate it to your own language. And so you have to get a little bit creative in trying to find features, stories in that way. We do have research departments. You know, I was working for Fox at the World Cup. They had a wonderful research department. NBC has a wonderful research department. So you rely on some of those. I will say this, I actually have a friend who works at a prep school in DC, has a lot of international students. And so I went to him and said, hey, can you record your kids saying this roster of Brazil or of China? And because he had all those kids from all those different countries. And so I think the pronunciations is challenging for all of us and announcers. And how much can you Americanize a name, or how much, you know, all those questions. But you have to get creative, especially with pronunciations on how to find those. And so I'm going to hit up my teacher friend again, I think, to prepare for the Olympics.
Last thing, you're not the first Portage native to be part of an Olympic soccer tournament. Will you lean on Lindsay Tarpley for any advice before you start, you know, this assignment?
I actually leaned on Lindsay Tarpley's husband, BJ Snow, and because he was a part of some of the scouting for Team USA, at least going into the World Cup. And so I have tapped into that family for sure, because they know their soccer. They've been a part of these events for many, many years at the elite level and in so many different roles. They live, you know, almost right down the street. I'm in Chicago, they're in Wisconsin, so maybe I'll make like a personal trip to bug them. But I went to school with BJ Snow. I'm like a year older, so I went to middle school with him, and I've always followed Lindsay's career, being a Portage native, and I'm very, very proud of her and BJ. And I'll try not to bug them too much because I know they're very busy parents as well. But again, you got to tap into wherever you can.
Well, I know they'll be watching, and so will we. Lisa Byington, Portage native, she'll be calling soccer for NBC during the Olympics. Lisa, thanks for your time, and have fun with this assignment.
Thank you for having me.